Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. On last week's episode, you saw me buy a cheap L405 Range Rover for my wife, completely blind, sight unseen, without a warranty, which was a really stupid thing to do actually. But today we are going to go and pick up that car and find out if I was stupid or if I'm going to get lucky. Let's find out. My name's Ben, and welcome to Dadcars. Right, so we've just driven nearly 4 hours down to come and have a look at this car. My good friend Joe very kindly offered to bring me down. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. And he's come in his stupid Land Rover because I thought, wow, I wanted to come in a Gran Turismo, but you were like, my Land Rover's amazing.
That's how it works, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Look, we'll keep it Land Rover themed for this video. I thought it'd be quite fitting. The first time that I'm going to be seeing this car, it's now, isn't it?
Yep.
We've not seen this car yet. We pulled over about 10 minutes away from it just to start filming this video. And this feels like a perfect time to obviously highlight the point that it is idiotic to buy a car, put a deposit down on a car that you've never physically seen, right? It's a stupid thing to do, isn't it?
Have you done a CarVertical on it?
Yes, I have done a CarVertical on it, yeah. How would you rate your overall experience of having this for 9 months?
Brilliant, I love it. It's such a fun car to have. It's so capable. We've come down today, done 250 miles in absolute luxury and comfort, and you've spent most of the time saying how disappointed you are in it.
Wow, I'm disappointed because you haven't got any leather here. I thought you said that this had the extended leather pack.
No, it's up here, look.
Up there, but what about here?
This is a Discovery, not a Range Rover, remember? So
Yeah.
This is a vastly different car to what you're getting.
And what I'll do at the end of this video as well is I'll calculate how much fuel it's cost me to come down in this and then drive both of these massive unnecessary cars back. I'll total that up at the end of this video.
Just so we're clear, Ben is under some illusion that he's going to get plus 30 mpg in his 4.4 V8 Range Rover. He's deluded. It's just not going to happen.
Right, so I'm not going to drag out this reveal any longer than it needs to be. I can see my wife's new car over there. So let's find out what it is. Yes, so here it is. I bought a 4.4 V8 Range Rover autobiography. And let's bring in the guy that I bought it off of. Charles, how's it going?
Ben, nice to meet you,
Yeah,
right?
lovely to meet you. So you watch the channel, right?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Because
very
you've
much
just
enjoy it.
become a dad recently?
I have, yeah, 3 months ago.
3 months, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty well, yeah. I mean, Abby gets less sleep than me, but it's fun though.
It's pretty tough, like initially. But look, this was my logic, right? This is why I bought this car blind, because somebody who watches my channel, he's just become a dad. You are a Range Rover specialist, is that what you say?
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
Yeah?
JLR, like Land Rover, Jaguars, Range Rovers. Sometimes you get the odd other thing in here, but that's generally what I like to deal in, yes.
Yeah, no, fab. And then like when you sort of said on Instagram that you'd be happy to come on camera, I just thought, well,
Yeah,
look,
I don't mind.
I'm just going to go for it. So I haven't even opened up the door and really looked in this car yet, have I? Yeah, genuinely.
yeah.
I'm going to buy it anyway, but look, I don't know much about these Range Rovers, so talk me through it. So you've already sold it to me, but talk to me as if you were selling me this car.
So I never try and sell someone a car. I always think they should want it, but this is a Baltic blue car, which is actually quite a rare colour, and in the sun you do get a lovely speckle from it.
Yeah. Does that mean that if I need to colour match, it's going to be really easy for me to colour match?
It's not too bad, but it's got a greeny speckle in it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm only joking. And is it these 21s, are they?
Yeah, they're the 21s, so the design with the 21, so they actually ride better than the 22s. You get a little bit of crashiness with the 22, so the 21 is actually the one to go for.
Okay.
In my opinion, obviously people like the look of a 22.
Yeah, no, when I saw the pictures of it, it was the colour and the fact that they're not particularly flash looking wheels.
No,
but personally
nice.
for me, I didn't want anything too blingy.
You can certainly get the blingy versions, and this isn't one of them, but it's a classy looking car. It has the 4.4 twin turbo in it as well, so great strong engine. It's mated with the 8-speed ZF in it, so great gearbox as well. Service it around 100,000 miles and it will do very well. It's not like the old Range Rovers back in sort of 2005 where they like to throw themselves into limp mode with it all the time.
Yeah.
Have them serviced, don't have them mega flush, just have them properly serviced, drop the pans, and they'll do really well.
Okay.
So the autobiography, in my opinion, is always the one to go for. It's just got the little things like the leather headliner, you get the pillow headrest.
And speaking of the interior, look, if we come round here, so obviously, as people know, I've got 4 young children, yeah? And the X5 had plain black interior and it got dirty a lot and had to be cleaned out. Just quickly, before we take a look at the rather impractical internal spec of my wife's new autobiography, I of course did a CarVertical check on that Range Rover before I even called up to make the offer, to make sure that it's not been stolen in the past, clocked, stolen, crashed or stolen. And of course it's got green ticks across the board. We also did a CarVertical check on my wife's X5 here, just to give us the peace of mind when we list this for sale that nothing dodgy happened with its previous owner. And running a CarVertical check protects you against something like this. Look at this, Discovery, which has been stolen in the past. And look at this Range Rover here. Look, it's got a warning for damage. Yep, let's look through the pictures. Oh God, yeah. Look, so this would be one you'd want to run a mile from. And because you're watching this video, if you use promo code Dadcars, you can save 20% off. So remember, you only buy a family car if you've run a CarVertical check on it first. Also, you only buy a family car if it's got dark, non-perforated leather. So this was another reason why I bought this car. So if you check out the interior, look. So is that ivory, is it, Charles?
That is ivory with black carpets and lower black inset, so really useful for children.
And perforated ivory leather, yeah, so for young children.
All the crumbs don't go in it. I mean, do go in it.
But at least the carpets are black, right?
Yes, yeah, so it makes it a lot easier.
That's a plus. And okay, look, I've never driven a Range Rover in my life. Just look, I'm indifferent. It's just not, there's not the type of car that I'm really that interested in.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I'd be much more interested in this XJ here. But I've just noticed, is legroom an option, Charles? Did this not get ticked with the optional extra of legroom?
Well, that's for my seating position. I'm quite tall, so I don't think that's that bad.
Hang on, no. Like, zoom back, right? Look at the size of this vehicle. I look like a garden gnome stood next to this vehicle. It's massive, isn't it? Look, this is a complaint that I make a lot about big modern cars, yeah, is that legroom isn't that great for such a big vehicle.
They do a long wheelbase version, but obviously they're more money.
Oh, so that is so it is literally an optional extra. You can actually spec yes, one with legroom.
There is an optional extras for a long wheelbase, yeah. Yes.
It's quite a nice place to be. Importantly, we've got the panoramic sunroof.
Yes, and
for me,
that
was a big one for because it does make a huge difference for the kids in the back. Yeah. I think it's got heated seats,
cooled seats.
It's got ventilated seats,
and massage seats.
Wow, and massage seats as well.
Yes.
Okay, all right. My lower back needs some massaging, so that'd be quite
nice. Radar
nice.
Cruise as well.
It does actually feel quite nice in here because this has got the extended leather as well, right?
Correct. Yes, because it's the autobiography.
Look at look, Joe. Have you seen? Look, this has got leather everywhere, yeah, not plastic all around here like on your one. Look at this, yeah. I have to admit, it does actually feel quite nice saying it. It does actually feel quite nice. And it sits on just 84,000 miles, which is actually really good for the amount of money I'm paying for this car. Let's have a look at the boot then. So obviously I've criticised the leg room, but I'm guessing that's because the boot's
You do
massive,
gain in a
right?
decent sized boot in these.
Okay. Ah, cool, and it's split folding as well.
Yeah,
we did like that on the X5.
It wants a little bit of help at the top.
Yeah.
You do maybe lose a little bit of leg room in the back, but that is a big boot for the car. If you compare that to, say, the Sport,
yeah,
you probably get another third in size in this than what you do in a Sport. It's surprising.
Hang on, I've got 4 children, Charles.
Yeah.
You said it had 7 seats. No, I'm joking, obviously. I've got the 4-cross multi-back
They never did these in 7-seaters, but they do now.
They do now,
yeah. They do in the new shape, yeah.
And you can get the Sports in 7-seaters as well, can't you?
Yeah, weirdly, I never understood it myself. So they do these in a 5-seater, not in a 7-seater, but the smaller Sport, they do in a 7-seater.
Right.
Which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, well, the Discovery Sport, which is tiny, when you put the seats up, you've literally got like that much space in the back, haven't you? So that's, okay,
so you can either close that on its own, or you can do them both together.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and the X5, we just got to slam the bottom one up. Yeah, out of interest, what's the... Okay, yeah, I was going to... This isn't a long wheelbase one, is it?
No, this is a standard wheelbase, this is, yeah.
I was hoping to make a point about having more leg room.
So that will have less.
So I bought this as a trade sale, effectively.
Yeah.
And so I don't get any warranty with it.
No, so normally I would sell this car at 19,995, but because it's not been prepared for sale like I would, because, you know, and it came in cheaper as well, I would do a few more things to it to get it, you know, up to retail standard, and then obviously I've got to warrant it and things like that. But I did do a few things for you just out of courtesy, because even though it's trade and to yourself, I'd rather not send you away with a car that's not right. Well,
look, that's the interesting thing about this series I'm going to do with this vehicle. Look, I'm always been indifferent to Range Rovers. It'd be interesting to hear what I think of it, but more interestingly than that, I think would be what my wife thinks of using this every single day. And I'm just going to be completely honest on this channel. If I have loads of those issues, I'll show it on there. But if it's surprisingly, better than what people say, because I mean, the comments on the first video, honestly, every other comment was people saying, oh God, you're crazy. So it's going to be interesting, a real world family with a depreciated Range Rover, because these are such good value. So I'm buying this for 15,000.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you fully prepped it and you were selling it like...
It'd be 19,995, and
yeah,
easily so. But you got to think, this car new would have been about 100,000.
Yeah.
So that's a big chunk off.
And what, out of interest, what would this car, say 18 months ago, what do you reckon this would have sold for?
18 months ago would have been, so we normally carry a lot more on the forecourt, and end of Q3 last year, they all dropped heavily.
Okay.
So it would have been about, this car would have been probably 27, 28,995.
Yeah.
It's quite easily. They have dropped a lot, but now we're at a stage where they're stable again. You're buying at the right time.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It'll probably work out, I don't know what my X5, 7-seat X5's worth, but it'll probably work out there'd be a couple of grand difference for me to get out of that and into this. It just seemed like a no-brainer to me. I know a lot of people think it's a stupid idea. All right, fab. So Charles, look, obviously I've done this in a really sort of strange way, haven't I? Just sort of buying this blind. It's like
quite a lot of people do it these days.
Do they really?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
But what would your general advice be to people who are considering buying, a Range Rover of this age? What sorts of things should they know? What sort of things should they look out for?
People say stay away from the 3 litre. I actually think they're quite a good engine, as long as they can belt it up, that's important. But the main thing with the 4.4 is all services going forward. So you live in quite a city area, you may not get up to temperature all the time. You want to be doing all services on every 6,000 to 8,000 miles. Okay. That's important. It's not the end of the world if it hasn't been done beforehand, but going forward to save yourself, it's going to help you. And in terms of when you're looking at things, it's good to have a look underneath the car. Now, a lot of people don't bother, oil leaks. It's actually not the end of the world. It does happen on these. It comes from the oil coolers, and it's not that expensive to fix. You can either do a gasket or you can replace the whole cooler itself. These jobs are no more than sort of £500–600. Okay. A cooler gasket is £200 odd to have done. This is at specialists as well. These are specialist prices. Yeah. I don't do the work myself because I like to send the cars to a specialist to see if there's anything major. So that's one thing. Map sensors, give them it's one screw, top of the engine, take it out, give it a clean, put it back in. Okay. It's little things like that, keep you going, keep you from off the side of the road and keeping you in on the road. Yeah, that's the main thing for me, because I know a lot of people saying about being unreliable and braking and things like that. But if things break, but it still gets my wife from A to B each day, getting the kids to gymnastics back and things like that, that's fine. Yeah. And then obviously we'll arrange to get things sorted on it. And I don't mind. With any sort of luxury cars, like all the cars that I own, like the Aston, the Maserati, you've got to anticipate with a depreciated car that it's going to cost a bit more. In my head, I've been sort of thinking around about like £2,000 a year mentally set aside just to service and maintain it if anything breaks within that. Do you reckon I won't be too far wrong on that? I think you're about right there.
Okay.
That's where, you can go some years where it's just servicing. Yeah. But occasionally you might get a sensor here, you might get maybe an air strut. They're pretty good actually, there's air suspension systems on these now. Yeah. You don't have the major issues that they used to have. But other than that, really, obviously you can get problems. You get problems with any car, but there's a lot to go wrong in these cars because they are a luxury car. Yeah. But they'll tell you fairly quickly if they're not happy. Yeah. And you'll get a sense. You don't have to be a mechanical genius to work out if these things are not right. Yeah. A lot of the time it's just simple checks that people forget to do. People always saying, have the turbos been replaced? Has it? To be honest with you, it doesn't matter if they haven't been, because it means that the car's working properly. Yeah. It doesn't mean they're going to break 5 minutes down the road. The most important thing is that you look after it going forward. If it's working when when you pick it up, obviously things can happen, can't they? But generally, if it's working, just keep it serviced and it will look after you. Yeah. That's the important thing with these. If you drive around with them with engine lights on and things like that, that's when you start running into trouble. Yeah, that's it. Well, all it takes is one neglectful, previous owner. Quite a heavy knock-on effect if you leave things go on these. If you're going to look at one with things wrong with it, that's when I would walk away. Fantastic. Right, look, let's wrap this deal up then. And then I'm going to hop in the car, take you with me and give you my first impressions. First time I've ever driven a Range Rover.
Right, so the first time I've ever driven a Range Rover, well, any Land Rover to be honest, and first impressions, because this has got the extended leather, and yeah, just notice it's actually got stitched leather headline as well. Oh, it does, I have to admit, it does feel like quite a special place to be. With the Dad B9 and the Dadcars, I have really grown accustomed to and appreciate, you know, a real sort of special leather wrap dash. And the driving position does feel like I'm driving a tractor, but it is just floating over the top of everything, as I suppose you would expect. What I can't wait to see is, you know, what my wife thinks of this. You know, does she enjoy it? Does she like the Range Rover experience? She loves her X5. She really has enjoyed owning that for nearly 5 years. You know, what's she going to think of this? I mean, my plan is to keep this for, I don't know, about a year. But ultimately, what it will come down to is if my wife actually enjoys driving it. If she hates it, you know, maybe we'll have to look to sell it sooner. The other videos I'm going to need to do with this is I want to make a video all about theft proofing this, because there are some things you can do to enhance the safety and make it tougher for people to steal them, because I don't want my wife to take it to do the food shop and then when she comes out it's gone. Also, I'm thinking maybe a family road trip video. You know, what's it like with 4 kids in a L405 Range Rover on a big long road trip? And of course, if, or probably more accurately, when something goes wrong with it, there's going to be some content around that as well. But look, this is the good thing. This is why I think this will be an interesting series, is that I am indifferent to these cars. So what I'm going to tell you is complete honesty. You know, if you're thinking about buying one of these, you will not get any confirmation bias from me, because I'm not a Range Rover fanboy.
In 400 yards, turn left.
Right, let's test out the acceleration here to get around these cars. Actually makes a pretty good sound, and it does get a shift on. Yeah, I was quite surprised at that. I thought that this was going to be, you know, much more quiet and refined.
In
but
100 yards, turn left.
sat nav's annoying. Right, now let's just pull over with Joe and take one last look at this car that I've purchased.
Nice car, mate. What's the retail on one of those?
More than you can afford, pal.
A Range Rover.
What do you think of my blind purchase? Obviously a stupid thing to do, but do you reckon it worked out? Charles seemed like a nice guy, didn't he?
I think you've done really well. He's a really nice chap. He knew his cars. The car you've got here is really, really nice. It's very clearly been looked after by its previous owners. Great spec. I'm slightly jealous, although I don't get it. What you've basically got is a car that makes no sense for what you need.
Why?
Well, why did you not buy an estate car? An estate car would have fitted your needs.
Do you not watch the channel? I literally explained on the channel.
What, do you really like SUVs?
You know this isn't my car, Joe.
I'm fully aware of that, but
Yeah.
you were the one that chose it.
What I do is I make sure that my wife has got a very, very nice car
Yeah.
that she really likes, that I don't mind driving,
Yeah.
so that I can have something really exciting. What you do is you got, what does your wife drive?
She drives a car, it's a white one.
Yeah, what is it, Skoda Yeti?
It is a Skoda Yeti.
Yeah,
yes.
which means you don't like driving that. I think you should sell the Yeti and buy your wife an X5.
I'm not adverse to the idea. How, an X5? No, thank you.
Yeah, I've got a
That makes no
lovely
sense.
7-seat
What I
X5,
would
which you'll
say-
need for your one child.
What I would say is at least I'm doing 4x4 incorrectly. I can use my car in every different scenario.
If I had a Discovery, living in the city, driving around the city, that would make me, I mean, I'd end up having to do what you do, which is when you go to a car park and there's loads of traditional spaces, you just bump up onto the nearest grass verge,
Yeah.
just because
Because you haven't.
Because that's what
you've got
Land
no,
Rover
you have
owners
no
do.
evidence of this. I'm using my 4x4 as it's intended. I take it off road every other day. My son yesterday, I cleaned the car ready for our trip today, and Harry was adamant we had to go off road yesterday. It was great fun. What are you going to do in yours? Watch out for car park dinks and can't get into a space correctly.
this is gonna
and then it's going to spend all of its time with all of your friends getting it fixed.
well, the X5 has got a lot of little car park dents and stuff on it. But
And this one's not going to, is it?
yeah, 100%. This is going to get even more because it's even wider. Yeah, so that'd be interesting to see how my wife sort of feels about parking it and things like that. But
The first time you've driven any form of Land Rover or Range Rover, how did you find it?
what I found on that short little trip there was that in the X5, when you're driving around, because it is a bit dull and it's supposed to be capable of driving like a car, when you hit some corners, you try to do them a bit faster, you go around roundabouts faster, but in the X5 you find the limit of it really quickly, and its size and weight come very apparent. In this, I didn't want to throw it around a corner fast at all. In fact, it just made me want to just waft around. But the sound of this car actually sounds good,
Yep,
doesn't it?
Yep.
It sounds really nice.
Yeah.
And the X5 sounds like a tractor.
Yeah, this is a TDV8 versus a straight 6 diesel.
This
Brilliant.
doesn't sound great, does it?
I disagree, it's a V6. It's a TDV6. I think it sounds really good.
You reckon?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound as good as that. I'll agree to that.
Didn't Charles say earlier on that they're 3 litre V6s, or they're all, avoid them?
No, I think you'll find that Charles didn't say this, as much as you might want him to. He actually said it's a very, very good engine.
It's what people say, isn't it? So obviously we've got loads of cool videos on this Range Rover coming, but also I think me and you need to do a back-to-back comparison of these two to decide which one is better.
Are we going to do this whilst we're taking them both off-roading?
Maybe, we could potentially do that. But also, I think we need to do a cost confessions video on this, because you said it only let you down once.
Yep.
There's a little bit more to the story than that.
There's a little bit more to the story.
We'll save that for another day.
And what about miles per gallon out of these two giant guzzlers? Well, Joe's Discovery with the smaller V6 managed just 24.8 miles per gallon, which cost me about £120 in diesel. But the real shock of the day was with the Range Rover, because not only was I able to see on the trip computer over 30 miles per gallon on my run, for the last 60 miles, I tried to be as efficient as possible, 55 miles an hour, and the trip computer was showing over 40 miles per gallon.
Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you, Joe, for driving down. I appreciate it. Love you lots. And in the meantime, check out one of the other videos.